My mom just called to tell me that my dad is in the hospital, and I rushed to the hospital as quickly as I could. It is so hot that my sunglasses are completely fogged. That's when you know you are maxing out South Florida living to the fullest. And I don't have any of the equipment I would normally have when I start to do a video, or I think that I'm going to shoot a video, but I felt compelled to share this because my parents are elderly, and my mom is going to be 80. My dad is 78, and that's Bethesda West, which happens to be, of all the hospitals that you could have an emergency surgery at, this happens to be the most convenient. So I appreciate my dad looking out for me in terms of geographic desirability. And I'm kidding, of course, but yeah, I got the phone call, and if I'm being totally transparent, I was in the middle of working. So when my mom called, at first, I hit the auto response of, "I'll call you back later." And I'm gonna get in the car here. So let me reconfigure this for a second. Well, I don't know why I'm taking my glasses off. It is very hot in here. But I got the phone call from my mom, and I blew her off because I was in the middle of working. And obviously I didn't know that my dad had an emergency. But she called back, and I hit the button again. "I'll call you later." And she called back, and I hit the button again. Because truthfully, it's not uncommon for my mom to call me multiple times accidentally or pocket dial, and I obviously did not think there was any sense of urgency. But on the, I don't know if it was the third or the fourth ring, I did take the phone call, and I said, "Mom, I'll call you. I told you I'd call you back. I'm in the middle of doing something. Is this an emergency?" And unfortunately, what she said was, "Yes, it is an emergency." And I felt like the world's biggest a-hole, because obviously, had I known it was an emergency, I would have picked up the phone on the first ring, on the first try. But life does not work that way. Unfortunately, you don't get advance warning when an emergency is going to happen. But I'm sharing this story because I'm sure I'm not the only one who has aging parents or elderly parents. And my parents are both getting up there. But thankfully, I was able to see my dad, and he is in good spirits, which I was very happy to see. And he's cracking jokes, and he obviously is not doing well, and he does require surgery, which is scheduled for 6, but it's yet to be determined whether it's going to happen today or not, which begs the question, if it's an emergency surgery, then wouldn't it be an urgent matter that you would definitively get done today? But when I asked that question, I was told that's not exactly the way it works, that the vascular surgeon, everybody that he works with, is an emergency, and it's yet to be determined whether that schedule or whether the surgery is going to happen or not. So I don't know if that's a systemic issue. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's an indictment on the state of the healthcare system, but I would hope that if I was having a heart attack, for example, the, I don't know, heart doctor or cardiovascular doctor, pulmonary, that's what I was looking for, whoever it is that's going to work on me, I would sure hope that they would put my emergency as a priority and not what was most convenient for their schedule. So, that being said, my dad has a massive blood clot. Scratch that. He has many blood clots that essentially stretch from his toes to his head. And the fear was that he could have a stroke or a heart attack or some sort of event and die. And so, thankfully, they have gotten better in their old age of recognizing when things are going wrong. And they went to the hospital, and that's where they're at right now. But I was, obviously terrified. My dad, I love my dad very much. I love my mom very much. I hate to see them aging. I hate to see them declining. And what's interesting is that in my mind's eye, I can still see when I look at my parents, who are 80 and 78, I don't see them that way at all. I see them as being probably younger than I am right now in my mind's eye. And I forget that they're the age they are. And thankfully, they've both been blessed to be active and mobile and live a high quality life for most of their lives. But as they've gotten older, I've seen the medical problems pop up, and it almost has become like a constant game of whack-a-mole of what the latest medical crisis or condition is, which is a long way of saying I've become numb to it. So it feels like sometimes that I could probably schedule on a quarterly basis that one of them is going to have some sort of medical emergency, and I've just become numb to it. So we've had lots of scares over the years: heart attacks, cancer, numerous types of cancers, all kinds of degenerative things, and I'm not going to go into a laundry list of their medical history, but I've become desensitized to it, which is, it's terrible, it's kind of like the story about the boy who cried wolf, right? The wolf is coming, the wolf is coming, the wolf is coming. Well, I'm dying, and when the wolf comes, nobody pays attention. But this definitely got my attention, and thankfully we all live close to each other, and so we were able to rally, and my sister and I went up there and were able to spend some time with him now. And thankfully I've got extended family in the neighborhood, so if we need to, and my sister has 2 young kids too, toddlers, well, an infant and a toddler, but everybody's home. We've got support, we've got resources, and thankfully everybody lives close by. So if, God forbid, there is a emergency or something escalates or worsens or whatever it might be, we're all very close to the hospital, and we can all be here in a moment's notice. But that being said, my dad is so old school. He does not want visitors. He doesn't want anybody waiting on him. He doesn't want to be there. In fact, he's trying, you can't make this up. He's trying to chat GPT him. He's doctoring himself and practicing without a medical license on himself using chat GPT. And I guess that's an improvement from WebMD, which is what he used to do. But he's leveling up in his medical training, and thankfully he doesn't have the instruments to operate on himself, or I think he might try to do that too, and I'm not kidding. I'm really not kidding. But he doesn't want a lot of people there waiting on him, and I respect that. I don't want to stress him with a lot of people waiting on him or making him uncomfortable before surgery. But I also know my mom is most likely going to be sitting there, and if that's the case, I'm certainly not going to let her sit alone. But because we are so close, I'm hoping I can talk her into just staying at our house, because if something happens, we can be here so quickly. I don't think there's any upside to us actually being sitting in a hospital ever, unless we need to be for our own medical condition. I just think they're germ factories and a great place to get sick. But it was interesting. I walked into the hospital. They didn't make me wear a mask, and I thought for sure they would, but they didn't. So perhaps that's good news. I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but I don't like being in hospitals any more than I have to be. So what are the outcomes here? I don't know, but I do know my parents are getting older. I do know they're declining. I do know that it terrifies me when I think of what that is going to look like. And I can get real sad real quick. But from what I understand, not from Dr. ChatGPT, if the procedure goes well, then he should have a positive outcome. But because he's high risk with so many other medical conditions, I don't know that he is going to survive the surgery. Now, I certainly hope he will, and based on what I just saw, he seems to be in good spirits. He seems to be in the right place mentally. He seems to be, for somebody as sick as he is, he looks like he's in fantastic shape, given the circumstances. So I feel a heck of a lot better having seen him than I did previous to that, but I don't know what's going to happen. And there are risks. When I pulled the doctor to the side, I learned that, if everything goes great, fantastic, it goes great. But because of some of these complications, they may have to amputate his leg. They may have to, I'm not going to go into all the bad things that could happen, other than he's high risk, and that's scary, right? And so I made a commitment earlier today that I would share more behind the scenes of what actually happens in my life. I really didn't expect that I was going to make a video like this, which has absolutely nothing to do with the housing market, but I suspect everyone has experienced their parents aging and declining and passing away. And I pray to God that's not today. And I got good vibes. I mean, I really left there bolstered in my confidence that he will be okay. But nobody lives forever, and it's just a great reminder to me that I need to do everything I can now to put myself into a good position for when I am in decline. I can be as healthy and optimal and vibrant and active as I can be for as long as possible, because I don't want to live any other way. And so that's it. I hope you found value in this content, and until next time, peace.